Well, at least he's not blaming black people. It's a victimless crime. It's ghosts.
Well, yeah, he is throwing ghosts under the bus.
But also, kids are getting spooked straight.
But right now, the reason I was talking about went into this whole thing.
Stories? That's the question.
Yeah.
Any ghost stories?
Yes, and holy shit, do I ever.
Let's hear it. Let's go.
All right, I was gonna, and thanks to this got me off a thing I didn't want to go to anyway.
Oh shit! Now I'm intrigued.
Dude, well, here's the thing, okay?
This is like the most tangented conversation.
Like I have the most fucked up ghost stories ever.
Well, we gotta go there.
Do it.
Okay.
Yeah, we gotta go there.
When I was doing drugs, okay?
Yeah.
Like, I did drugs to the point where I was hearing voices, okay? Like, it's called, the technical term for this would be psychosis. Where
Just a total mental...
And what's so peculiar about the phenomenon of psychosis, which is characterized by auditory hallucinations where you're hearing voices, visual hallucinations. I was watching people walk around my apartment, people who were never there. I was watching them walk through walls. They staged like an intervention on me at one point. I had fucking an apartment full of people who were there to have a formal intervention, but they were never fucking there.
Were you aware that they weren't there?
Oh, dude, I watched them motherfuckers.
Did you think it was real, or were you aware
I knew it was real. I
hallucinating?
knew it was real, and to this fucking day it was real. To this
felt
fucking
that
day
real.
it was real.
But in retrospect, you're like, that was obviously a hallucination.
Totally fucking spiritual entities that
Okay.
right now.
So wait, you don't think it was a hallucination? You think they were real spiritual entities?
The fucking line is completely blurred.
Okay,
The line is completely fucking blurred, and I think that the reason why I'm seeing them as hallucinations is because they're real.
Do you think that the drugs open your mind?
I think the drugs. That's why I'm like with psychosis, like meth, meth will do it. Cocaine, particularly on the third straight day of a cocaine bender with no sleep, like while inhaling like nitrous oxide to the exclusion of air as much as possible.
Right.
When shit would really pop off.
Interesting.
You know, shit would pop off.
Did you invite it?
At one point, okay, the first time I had like a spiritual intervention where it was like, okay, I was sitting and I was inhaling nitrous oxide and I was doing cocaine and I had been doing so for 2 to 3 days. I was in a chair that spun just like this one, and I was sitting in front of a big pile of cocaine, and I'm sitting there, and I'm thinking to myself, as I go to snort another ridiculous helping of cocaine, I thought to myself, wow, I'm killing myself. You know, like there is no longevity in what I'm doing. I'm dying. I'm dying here. Like, this is me killing myself, and I'm dying. And I thought very specifically, because I'll never forget this, I thought, I don't care if I die. And I just leaned over to go fucking right now. As I thought, I don't care if I die. As a reaction to those specific words that I thought, to that thought, physically, the spinning chair I was in as I went to it fucking spun. It was like there was a big, strong dude who fucking spun the fucking chair. It was like with the power of as if it was like a fucking mechanical bull. It was just like it fucking spun, and and it was. Now, granted, this was a tactile hallucination, meaning not like here, but you feel it. I know fully well that if there was a surveillance camera in my apartment at that time, it would not reveal this experience that I had.
Right.
I'm clear on that, but it fucking happened.
What
There's
do you
no
mean
question.
it wouldn't reveal? Like, you never spun at all? You think it would show?
My experience was that I did, but if
You
someone
think
else
the
was
camera
there,
would
if the
show
camera
that it was just still.
It got right. It didn't. I know well. I know well enough to know that this is an experience that I had that was outside of the dimension that we're in, right? And it was so clear when this happened that I thought, I don't care if I die, and then just, whoa, it was like, think again, motherfucker, think again. So this was completely in response to that, I don't care if I die. It was like, think again, the message was clear that there is some entity that distinctly cares that I not die.
What was your
think
reaction?
again. I was like, fuck, something powerful as fuck just spun this thing.
Did you take the line?
Well, yeah, of course. Of course, but something powerful as fuck wants me to live. Wants me to see the importance of not care. Like I should care. Something wants me to care about living. Like I gotta live for something. Dude, I had, and I think it might have been later that night. Well, no, it was another night when I had the formal interview. Dude, I had a shoe sponsor, and there was these cubby holes, a whole wall of shoes, and like the mess, the in my apartment, shit was just going off, and all these shoes were sitting there like tapping their toes, like, okay, throw away the drugs. They're all impatiently tapping their toes, like, okay, throw away the drugs.
Oh my God.
Like, and I'm just watching it happen. And all this shit, it's like, okay, wait, hold on, is that happening? And I would think, that's really crazy that that's fucking happening. And I'd look again and like, yep, sure enough, it's still happening. Like, totally. Like inanimate objects were communicating to me. And now they're...
And again, you feel like in that situation with the security camera, the shoes aren't moving.
Correct. Yeah. 100% correct. And so like it's spiritual entities, ghosts, like whatever, like my spirit friends. There were different classifications of them. There were angels, clearly angels that cared about me living, and they would even say in my ears, like, "Hey, we're worried about you. You know, like, like you're killing yourself, and it's not okay." And they were very loving and angels, and they were like rooting for me. That's like really what I prayed to this day. Like you know, like when you go to rehab and they say you have to have a higher power, like you know, like whatever spun that fucking chair is just I pray to that. You know, something that cares about me. So there were the angels. Then there were demons. For sure there were demons. Like the voices were telling me like fucking suffocate yourself to death. They were urging me to kill myself. And it was like super dark and gnarly and super scary. Then and I would probably classify this as demons as well, but much more fun, like trickster spirits, like shit. They would just fucking entertain me. That same chair that I was in, right? Like the spinning office chair, which was I had a big dining room table like this, with the computer set up with the TV on the wall, and that fucking chair while I was in it just caught fucking fire, just engulfed in flames, and the flames didn't hurt. It was just there showing off like cool shit for me. Like it was just like whoa, the chair, and I'm checking it out. Like sure enough, it's on fire. The whole fucking chair is just on fucking fire. And I'm like, whoa, fucking cool. I just wanted to do more drugs and pile more. That's why I classified these as demon spirits, because they just tricksters
enabling you.
They wanted me to. I loved it. So all this fucking shit was so cool. There was so much of it, like lights that were never even there, ever, were just flashing. It was a fucking light show, just like bomb, 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 bomb. The curtains are opening and closing on their own. The whole place is going fucking nuts, and I'm like, whoa, this is the fucking coolest party ever. Like, and I just want to do more drugs to keep the shit happening. I had this.
That's insane. That didn't scare you? Like
I loved it. I loved it so much. At certain times, it got scary. There was a lot of fucking dark, creepy, scary shit that went down too. Like,
were you by yourself usually when the show was going down?
Always.
Just you,
always.
party.
There were a couple times, but the other person, if they were there, they wouldn't be privy to it. They would be like, you know, there are like rules for the spirits. But I had this.
What are the rules?
They're not supposed to interfere with.
They can't physically affect.
They can't like manipulate they can't interfere with free will. They can't like manipulate things to alter the course, you know. So really they've got
Are those rules you learned from interacting with them?
Yeah, and they weren't supposed to like say anything. They're like and it's like the committee, and you can hear them kind of, you know, but like. And they're in another thing, but if you do enough drugs, that's why the same thing happens if you're on meth as if you're on coke, or even like sometimes the alcohol. Like all roads lead to the same place. If you do enough drugs, if you fuck yourself up enough, even PCP, like you erode the barriers between us and these entities, you know, and then you start experiencing. That's why I still believe it's real, dude. And dude, I had like some of the other trickster shit was fucking badass, man. Like, I had this globe, like the Earth, and the base of it I drilled to a skateboard, and then the skateboard I drilled to the wall, so the globe is coming out, protruding like this. I sat there and looked at that fucking globe, and I watched my own face, like the liquid Terminator in the globe, like came pushing out.
God.
It came pushing out like the fucking globe is, and my face came pushing out, and then started headbanging. The globe's going.
And you weren't scared. You were like,
I was like, whoa, like, whoa, yeah, yes,
can
yes.
you imagine watching
Dude,
back
I got
tapes?
goosebumps. I got the gnarliest goosebumps.
Can you
Like,
imagine
it was
watching
so
a tape
dope.
back of you? Like,
Oh yeah, and I would make my own
Can you
videos.
imagine that?
Dude, like I would make
You
my
would
own.
film it.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, like,
Do those exist
You would,
still?
yeah, dude. There was a whole documentary that was made about my downward spiral and psychosis, and ultimately to my
And that
intervention.
footage of you like interacting.
Yeah,
with
and
the
dude,
spirits.
what the footage reveals is me reacting to a lot of this stuff that like it's not
There's
there.
nothing there,
It's
yeah.
not there, but you can tell. I'm like, whoa,
Totally
whoa, you know, and I'm like,
Wow.
yeah. So I mean, there's a million fucking things,
that
dude.
So
is
what is it?
crazy.
Okay, so in this world where these spirits are real, like what is their motivation? What are they doing like on the other side? And why is it so compelling to them to come interact with people on drugs?
I think that it's the people who are on drugs that they have
They're
access
receptive. So what's
to. They have
enticing
access to
them?
like the.
They get like a signal. They're like, I can talk to this person.
Well, yeah, they don't have access to. Like the.
And not everybody.
Right, I think, like, and I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm just out of my mind. But,
No, and I mean, it's
but-
your
and-
personal experience.
Right.
that's fascinating,
My experience, my belief, is that the barriers are you know, like for you. You aren't aware of them because you've got these barriers in place, which you
Yeah.
have not eroded
Right.
to the point where you can become aware of them. So I
And
would say that.
and they're aware when your barrier is down.
For sure.
Got it.
And what's their motivation? I think with the trickster stuff, that just made me so hungry to keep that shit happening. I just want like this all like just even the voices, everything, like the people walking around. I watched a fucking dude come out. Like I lost my mom in 2003, and you know, it was like really kind of a traumatic thing for me. Not that I lost my mom, but the last 5 years of her life, where she survived an aneurysm, and she was very fucking damaged. Like she was physically and mentally horribly disabled, and had bed sores, and it was just fucking terrible. Like she was in great pain, and her last 5 years were traumatic, and that fucked me up a lot. At one point, when I was in this apartment, like. In my fucking psychosis, I watched a dude come out of the bathroom. He walked right behind me. He stopped, and as my interpretation, he went like that, right? Which I interpreted to be like he stopped and fucking paid respect to my mom, and then turned. He kept walking through the apartment. I watched this fucking dude pick up the bong, take a hit, blow out smoke, put it back, and then fucking walk through the wall. Motherfucker was never there, dude.
Crazy.
He was never there. And you'll hear people who have psychosis, they talk about shadow people. Like, I'm not talking, there was a lot of shadow people too, but I'm talking about they were like fully formed, totally people picking up actual
Right.
objects, moving shit
If
around.
the spirit world is real in the sense that you've experienced it, that's just so bizarre. Like,
Yeah.
what are they up
Oh,
to?
dude, I mean,
What are they up
there's
to?
no
What are they? What is their
well, there's no
motivation?
question of if. I mean, fuck, dude. Like, what? Like, this third dimensional experience is so like minor, dude. And so like, I read a book, and there's this theory. Do you know about junk DNA? Do you know that for the purpose of science, that we can only our best scientific knowledge of our own DNA indicates that we only use 10% of our brain, and that we can only identify that there is any purpose whatsoever to 10% of our DNA, leaving the scientific position of the scientific community has the position that 90% of our DNA, they call it, quote, junk DNA. They do not know what it's for.
Probably like hereditary, from all the.
I guess, but I more
Because
easily
it's been
believe-
like billions of years of evolution,
Right, but it's just interesting that, like, to suggest that here we're this complex, thing, and that 90% of what makes us up has no purpose whatsoever, and that is just totally junk. And for that matter, that 90% of our brain power has no purpose whatsoever. That we just have it laying around. We're never going to use it. Now, the theory that I read, which I have a pretty easy time with, and it's kind of it's a fucked up theory, but that there are more dimensions, and that we are intended to be multidimensional beings, and that for us to use 100% of our brain, or for 100% of our DNA to be active, that means that we are simultaneously connected to the versions of ourselves which are in other dimensions, right? But the theory that I read in this crazy book, and this might be a little far out there, but I have an easier time believing this than I would believing that we're junk, the junk DNA, is the theory that the Earth is sort of a library, so to speak, of a lot of, like information and such, and it's very valuable in the universe and all dimensions,
right.
And that the theory is that some 300,000 years ago, ownership of the Earth switched, right, and so the new owners of Earth found that as multidimensional beings, which we used to be, according to this
sounds
theory.
Sounds like some Scientology shit. Kind of.
No, it's really not. It's I mean, whatever. But the idea was that we used to be fully multidimensional, but we were too difficult to control.
Interesting.
So this new like ownership, whatever, they basically went under the hood and unplugged 90% of our DNA, which leaves us without us being plugged in. We don't know what the fucking meaning of life is. We have no idea what our purpose is. You gotta admit, like, there's kind of like we're like a little bit don't know why we're here, what's going on.
Way more than meets the eye or we
Right.
can perceive. That's
Right,
undisputable.
we're not we're not plugged in anymore, so we don't get it. We the connection to I guess the evidence for me is that we only use 10% of our brain, and
So
we
I
only
think- but I
like
think
not
that's
only
a myth,
10%.
by the way.
10%. Nah.
You think that's why?
I think that that was a myth that was
Look,
floating around. I think
that there have
we
been
use 100%
developments.
of our brain, but just at different times. I think that's
Ooh,
the
I
myth.
don't know.
You want to do a fact check?
Let's do a fact check on junk DNA.
Do we use?
I'm
100%?
almost more interested in the DNA.
I haven't heard the junk DNA. That is fascinating.
Yeah, junk DNA. 90% of our
So,
DNA. They have no
humans-
fucking idea what it's for.
Humans use 100% of their brains, despite popular myth. College students believe we only use 10%. Well, this is just some dumbass website, but sure.
All
This
right.
is Scientific
I'm
America.
way more concerned with junk DNA.
But just for the record, because this was a really prolific
Right.
myth that went around.
Yeah, everyone,
I believed it for a long time,
yeah.
and then someone told me that, and I
I
looked
think there have
into
been
it.
some kind of developments in the scientific community regarding junk DNA that are newer, but still, we don't fucking know,
So
dude.
I'm talking about brain use. Now let's look into the junk DNA.
DNA. Yeah, DNA,
Junk
dude.
DNA.
Right. And,
Non-coding DNA is what it's called on Wikipedia.
right, and this whole fucking, like, this is a fucking controversial thing for a clean and sober guy to say, because, like, the higher power is such a big part of the recovery process, faith in God.
Right.
But dude, I think it's fucking full-scale arrogance to say that you're atheist and that you're 100% sure there is no God. And I think it's also fucking arrogant to say that you're 100% sure that there is. I think that
agree.
we have limitations.
Yeah.
We have a fucking limited fucking ability in our physical form.
Completely agree.
And I think that you're arrogant if you're anything but agnostic.
So I think
And faith, the definition of faith is to believe in something that cannot be
agnostic.
proven.
I'm agnostic, but I think people misunderstand atheism. Well, there's
Atheism means I'm sure that there is no God.
No, it's not.
think
It's not
so.
quite that. That's the misunderstanding of it. These are like fedora wearing, like 15-year-olds. I'm very deep atheist. I think atheism in the true sense is that
There is no God.
I don't believe in God because I've never been given any reason or evidence to believe in God. I don't.
Well, that's definition of agnostic, and I always used to say I have no trouble believing there. I would say assuming there is a God.
Agnostic.
Agnostic
Agnostic
means
is
I don't
I'm
know.
open to the idea of God, but I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't
Right.
know.
Right.
And that's where I fall. But an atheism is I don't believe in God
Right.
because I have no reason to believe in God.
All right, I thought atheism,
not like-
atheism is a conviction that there is no God.
See, it's like I think that the some media has
So you're saying
misrepresented atheism. to
You're saying
demonize it.
atheist means that assuming there is a God, I'm pretty sure he wants his privacy.
Yeah, that's deism actually.
Oh yeah, what's that?
The founding fathers were deistic, and that was something that
Deistic. My
fascinated
favorite
me.
death metal band is
So,
Deicide.
so deism is fucking awesome, and all the founding fathers were into this shit. They're like, there is a God. He came, he created the universe, he
He's
created
dead.
the earth, and then he fucked off. He doesn't
how
care
about
about
that?
us. He doesn't interact in our lives at all. He came, he saw, he conquered, and he fucked off.
Okay.
It's kind of fascinating.
Well, here's the thing, dude. This is what I would believe, and it goes right back to the whole thing we're talking about with the spirits and the entities, is that we are fucking made, dude. Just the same way that we make cars and they run, right? The whole thing. Like, we're just a fucking... the human body is like a fucking... It's like a toy car made by, like, a spiritual
I
entity.
disagree on some level.
Okay, well, how about this? Okay, like the one strong argument for not killing yourself is that when you take the gun and when you pull the trigger and you're fucking dead, the first thing that happens is you're like, why am I still thinking? You know, like, why am I not...
No, that's how can you confirm that's what happened?
Well, you can't confirm it, but my theory here is that the brain is not a generator of consciousness, right? It's not the place where consciousness. I think the idea is
it's not a brain function.
the brain
It's like a soul function.
does not generate, or I should say, the brain does not transmit the consciousness. Rather, the
People
brain.
don't know, yeah.
Right. My theory is that the brain is a receiver of consciousness. So as to say
That's
that, like,
interesting.
when you
pretty
pull
cool.
when you pull the trigger and shoot your brain, it's kind of like taking a radio, right? You know, like this fucking thing right here, right? This iPad is not generating that image; it's
good.
receiving that
Yeah,
image.
that's very cool.
So if we take a hammer, if I take a hammer and I fucking smash this iPad, like
Could just
which
turn
is
it
the analogy for taking a gun and shooting my head.
Yeah, okay.
If I smash this iPad to smithereens, if I
feed's
shoot it
still
with a
out there.
gun, that's
pretty
still
cool.
out there. So you're not killing the fucking signal, you're killing the receiver.
That's cool.
And so that's the soul.
Right.
The soul is what the signal that is being picked up by the receiver. So you can kill the
That's a nice thought. I haven't thought about it that way before.
yeah.
That's cool.
You kill the fucking receiver. You haven't fucking killed the signal.
That's very dope.
And so now what is the receiver? The body, the brain, right? It's a fucking toy.
It's a meat,
toy that
meat spaceship.
it's a toy, like a toy car, like whatever the kind of things we make, except the creator, and there are like the ultimate creator, God. There are fucking levels of spirits and dimensions, and there's so much going on that we don't know about. And
I hope so. It's a lot more interesting that way, isn't it?
there are creators that created us like fucking little vehicles. It's like a fucking car. We make a car, we get in the car, we drive it around. We're a fucking car that was made by a fucking low-level fucking spirit creator, and fucking they're in the car and they're driving around the meat car. And so in that sense, yeah, our creator fucking fucked up.
I'm still not totally convinced of this idea of like a creator, right? I do believe in higher power, like God is my sense of like there's just something so inexplicable about existing at all.
Sure.
It's just overwhelmingly impossible to even conceptualize like the thought of like existence versus non-existence. It's weird.
Well, in a philosophical sense, it's
But-
easier to prove that we don't exist than to prove that we do exist.
Right. But the thought of like a creator or like intelligent design, I think is easy to fall into that because it's so hard to conceptualize what evolution looks like over billions of years, right? Like a trial and error on the micro level over billions of years. It's like it's very possible. It's the explanation for how you start from a one-cell organism up to this super
Sure.
complicated. Like we just can't fathom that in the same way we can't fathom a god, because it's kind of just
Sure.
I mean, you know, the universe is like 12 billion years. We've been
Right.
fucking evolving for like 25% of the whole history
Right.
of the whole existence of the universe.
Right. And I believe that we're not, like when they talk about ascension, and you know, it's like we're just not plugged in. I think, you know.
I hope so. I've always hoped that there's more because it's way more fucking interesting than you just
it's
die
like,
and you're gone.
And again, like with the toy
But
car,
that's also
like,
part of the charm, right? That's part. You
with
want to
the-
believe it.
with the car analogy, you know, like where they say what they say, we're not human beings having a spiritual experience, rather we are spiritual beings having a human
That's dope.
experience.
I really like
this
that.
is just
Yeah,
it's
that's
like it's
cool.
just like a little car, you know,
That's dope.
and then the car fucking dies, and the spirit, when this fucking physical incarnation dies,
Mm-hmm.
the spirit gets out of the car and fucking gets in some other car, and that other car might be a fucking plant, or you know, whatever the case
Very
may be.
Buddhist.
For sure, but dude, there's like for me, I don't doubt any of that, dude.
Dude, I think that conviction's awesome. Sometimes I wish I was more.
And isn't there like
convinced.
pretty undeniable proof of reincarnation?
No.
Right?
No.
Well, that's a big statement. What is, in your opinion, proof of reincarnation?
Like little 2-year-old kids that have memories of previous lives and they just blur
I
it
haven't
out.
read about that.
Dude, I think Google undeniable proof of
Oh, fuck,
reincarnation.
here we go. Let's look into that later. We've been going for a long
I know
fucking
we
time.
should cruise.
Let's wrap it. That was, by the way, I think the best ghost story we've had. That shit was gnarly, dude.
That was a
Thank
whole
you for
ghost
sharing that with us.
theory.
Yeah, dude, I love all that.
That was honestly,
I have a whole chapter in my
It's-
book called Angels and Demons.
it was fascinating.
Well,
Absolutely
thanks, man.
fascinating. Let's wrap it up.
Yeah,
Steve-O,
dude.
you're a legend. Thank you,
Hey,
man,
thank
for
you,
coming.
bro.
I honestly
Thank
I'm a
was
huge fan of
fascinated.
both you guys.
It
Thank
was
you.
an emotional roller coaster. I was glued. It was a great time, man. I really appreciate it.
I love it. I think I enjoy being a guest on podcasts more
Dope.
than the idea of having my own podcast.
It's a completely different experience. It is.
Yeah, there's no obligation. I feel
Yeah.
like I can really like.
There's a lot of weird-
But with that said, I do need anybody who is interested in my story to grab that fucking autographed book on my website.
Yep. Go support Steve-O
I'm
wherever
telling
he
you,
is.
my book didn't get a fucking 5-star rating because it sucks.
Get real.
Yeah, it's by definition the most guaranteed great book you can read.
By definition.
And I name drop like a motherfucker.
Go to steveo.com, right?
Steveo.com,
Get some fucking
yeah.
merch like a god
And
church.
there's little links for all the social media. And fucking scope out the YouTube and shit.
Likes, social media.
Follows.
Check him out. He's on the road doing stand-up.
That's right.
I can't wait for your big show you're working on. That's
Dude,
exciting.
I'm super. I would love to have you guys there, man.
I'm there.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
there. Are you kidding?
Fucking, I love you guys, man.
I love you, man. I can't believe it's so surreal
It's
that
surreal,
we're cross
like,
paths for me.
Yeah.
I was watching everything in Israel.
Even in
like-
Israel, man.
Oh, how about that?
Jackass and
Fuck
everything.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's
MTV was huge in Israel.
let's keep stamping out the fakes.
Yep.
Let's stamp them out.
Let's get him.
Let's fucking, get people to just fucking have some integrity.
Let's.
Stop deceiving your followers. Show respect to the people, who click your links.
What can you do? You can never stop these people because there's so much money. There's so much audience for it. But at least we can have a laugh at them.
Well, yeah. Let's
That's the least we can do.
let's fucking
Let's keep laughing.
Let's expose the fakes, dude.
Let's go. Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks, man, for coming on.
thank
It was a
you,
great,
man.
great time.
Fuck yeah,
Thanks,
dude.
everyone, for watching.
Oh yeah, and let me know if you've been watching this. Fucking throw me a tweet.
Throw
Throw
Steve-O
me a
tweet.
tweet.
Yeah, tell him what
Throw
you
me a
thought.
tweet. I'd check it out. I'd check out my fucking mentions.
Just at
feed.
Steve-O, right?
At Steve-O,
It
dude.
doesn't get easier. It's not
Throw me
more
a-
intuitive.
Throw me a tweet.
This episode is sponsored by Steve-O. Our
Yeah,
fourth
dude.
sponsor.
Throw me a fucking tweet, dude.
Guys, thanks for watching.
Thank you guys.
Love you. We appreciate you. And we will be
Bye.
seeing you guys. And on next Friday, we have.
Oh yeah,
Still in the
it's-
works.
It's still in the.
You guys were going to freak out, but we've been talking to Jake Paul. You seen that shit? The Everyday Bro?
Wow.
We might have Jake Paul on the show.
Is he what is it? It's just another day,
Everyday
bro.
Bro with that Disney Channel flow. Yeah, so we might actually have Jake Paul on.
You mean the guy who's got Kendrick Lamar
Yep.
totally running for
Yeah, Kendrick
cover?
is fucking very worried about his career. Next up, we'll have Kendrick.
It's just another day, bro.
It's every day, bro. All right, cut it. Thanks for watching,
Bye.
guys.